listening to the Terra Nova Podcast, a podcast all about our favorite Fox television show, Terra Nova. This is Season 1, Episode 6, Instinct.
The eyes of the world are on Hope Plaza today, as the 10th pilgrimage prepares to depart for Terra Nova, bringing the total number of colonists to over 1,000.
Give me security.
Whatever happens, keep moving.
Sir, I need you to step out of line.
If we go in there, we can't come back.
We will be right behind you. I won't go without Dad. Go with your brother. He's dead. We'll find a way.
Citizens of 2149, together, we are at the dawn of a new civilization. Welcome to Terra Nova, folks. Welcome home.
Hello, and welcome to the Terra Nova Podcast. I am your host, Albie.
And I'm Heather.
Today we are talking about the second episode of Terra Nova, Instinct, the one with all the flying reptiles. Yes, they are not birds, they are flying reptiles. What was your first impressions, Heather, of Instinct?
I liked the episode, but I wish that there was more of the family in it. It was very much about dinosaurs and not a lot about the family dynamic. I mean, I guess it pulled them closer, or it developed stories, and because of working together to get the dinosaurs away, and I just wish there was more of a family storyline this early in the show.
My first impression was, I don't know, I liked it better the second time I watched it than the first time I watched it. The first time I watched it, I was a little let down, kinda, compared to the 2-hour movie pilot with everything in it, but I don't think that was a problem with the episode. I think just my expectations were too high. Going into it a second time, knowing what it was, I was able to enjoy it more. I don't know, to me it seemed like a mid-season episode, not like, wow, so much is happening in the second episode, you know. It was more like a filler episode almost, and I was surprised for like a filler type episode on the second episode, especially because it was written by Brandon Braga and Renee Echevarria. So I was expecting like crazy stuff to happen, but you know, nothing crazy really did happen. There was some good character development, so I guess that's the thing that they really want to focus on early on, is so we learn more about each character. But yeah. Jordan, first impressions.
I liked it again. I thought it was a cool kind of one-off story. I was kind of waiting to see if they were going to play more into episode 1, but this kind of seemed to be its own story, very Hitchcockian, you know, the birds, if you will. And some kind of cool teaming there by Jason Amar and Stephen Lang at the end. Tag teaming, if you will, and I enjoyed it. I dug it.
The third time I watched it, I loved it. So I think the key with this show is just keep watching it more and more.
I guess it just shows that maybe there's more to come. Better stories, and it'll just keep getting better.
Yeah, but I'm very excited about it. Let's take a look at the ratings.
Ratings.
Last week's ratings got a little bit better when the end of the week's ratings came in. They were adjusted up 0.01. So a little bit higher than we thought, which was already good. It was about 9 million people, so about 3 times as many people that watch Fringe, which they're pretty happy with the numbers on Fringe on Friday, so they got to be happy with the Terra Nova numbers. This week's first ratings that came in, according to TV by the Numbers, it says, score 1 for the fanboys. In its second week and third episode, Fox's Terra Nova fell a scant 3% to a 3.0 preliminary adults 18 to 49 rating. This week, Terra Nova got 8.73 million viewers and a 3.1 share. Everybody was surprised that there wasn't a huge drop-off after the pilot episode, and it only dropped off a little bit, 3%, so that's not bad. That means there's a lot of people that liked the pilot and want to stick with the show. So that's encouraging news. They were expecting a big drop-off, and they didn't get it, so score 1 for Terra Nova.
Hopefully after this one, considering we felt a little, iffy about the episode, hopefully it'll continue to have the same amount of fan base as it did the last 2 weeks next week.
Yeah, I'm sticking with the show for the long haul. I don't want to be a downer about it because I did like a lot of things in it. You know, there were certain things in it that I really liked, and we'll talk about that later. Heather, since I read the recap last week, and it was so crazy long because of the 2-part episode, would you like to read the episode recap for Instinct?
Sure.
Episode recap.
Terra Nova, Episode 3, Instinct. 2 Terra Nova soldiers tear through the forest during a heavy rain pour. They hit something and blow out their tire. Sure enough, the leaves soon begin to rustle. They hear screeching. Suddenly, a dino leaps from the trees at the men. Not good. The next day, the Shannon kids and other Terra Nova youngsters get a lesson in survival from Washington and Reynolds, who continues to make eyes at Maddie. To prove how tough she is, Washington eats a few disgusting but nutrient-filled bugs. Later, the Shannon family jokes and laughs as they prepare for bed. It's been another wonderful day in prehistoric paradise. Once the kiddies are in bed, Jim and Elizabeth get frisky. Their makeout session is unfortunately interrupted by a screeching. Bummer. Jim goes outside and tells the winged and screeching creature to scat. Returning inside, Jim finds Zoe has crawled into his marital bed. He is understandably disappointed. If it's not the dinosaurs busting his groove, it's the kids. The next day, Elizabeth goes to work and finds that Dr. Malcolm Wallace, who attended university with Elizabeth, has arrived in Terra Nova. They are very happy to see each other. Jim is not very happy that they are very happy to see each other. Cut to the jungle, where Taylor is on patrol with an enormous gun. Taylor asks Jim to investigate the possibility of a Sixer spy in camp. Taylor also responds cagey when Jim asks why the Sixers want Taylor dead. The pair soon comes across the dead and mutilated bodies of the 2 guards who had a flat tire. Who did this, or rather, what did this? Back at the hospital and morgue, Elizabeth isn't sure, but she does know that the attack came from above. I need to know what did this, today, Taylor growls. Elizabeth and Malcolm has to work late, so Jim heads home to play Mr. Mom. He struggles to make dinner and gets even more flustered when Maddie asks how she can tell if a boy likes me. Yikes. Sometime later, Elizabeth returns home and explains that the fatal wounds to the guards don't match any known species. Jim then wonders if Elizabeth ever, are you asking if we ever dated? Elizabeth says with a laugh. Yes, for half a minute. Jim is not so jokingly jealous. Later, Jim hears the same screeching as before. He goes outside to see the same winged creature, joined by a few screeching friends. Josh comes outside and throws a rock at the creatures, and they clearly become angry. Suddenly, the screechers attack. Jim and Josh race inside to safety. They are greeted by an anxious Elizabeth. I think we just found out what killed those men, Jim tells his wife. The next morning, Malcolm treats Jim, who has been bitten. Malcolm then suggests to Taylor that a science team observe the new creatures. Taylor decides, roughly, that no such request will be granted. Instead, Terra Nova will go under lockdown. Research another day, Taylor barks, no discussion. Later, Jim asks Taylor how his wife was recruited to come to Terra Nova. Taylor explains that she was specifically requested by Malcolm. Josh, meanwhile, finds a guitar at the market and attempts to trade with the owner. The owner inquires about Josh's platinum necklace, and the young man becomes defensive. Later, he explains to Sky that the necklace was given to him by his girlfriend 85 million years in the future. She was kind of like you, Josh tells Sky. Suddenly, the flirting is interrupted by the screechers, who begin to line up on the fence in great numbers. Just then, the flying creatures attack. Everyone dives for cover until the birds take off. Afterwards, Jim notices Malcolm collecting dead screechers. He explains that the creatures are probably migrating, and likely as a species, seeing as how the migration isn't annual. What we're seeing today is just the first wave, Malcolm says. There are a lot more coming. Indeed, radar scans indicate thousands of the birds are nearby. Taylor then remembers that years ago the settlers found thousands and thousands of eggs underground. It soon becomes clear that the screechers have come back to spawn, and that Terra Nova was inadvertently built on the creatures' breeding ground. Malcolm and Elizabeth then explain that they might be able to figure out a way to stop the oncoming horde if they could study live specimens, preferably a male and a female. Want to do some hunting tonight? Taylor asks Jim. Later, Jim prepares to hunt the creatures and takes a few moments to let Malcolm know that his plan to recruit and then woo Elizabeth is as transparent as sandwich wrap. Malcolm, of course, denies his motives were anything but pure in bringing Elizabeth 85 million years into the past. The next day, Jim and Taylor return to Terra Nova with 2 specimens. Elizabeth and Malcolm study the creatures and uncover pheromones. If the good doctors could whip up a batch of concentrated pheromones and somehow spread them elsewhere, they might be able to create a new breeding ground for the creatures. Elizabeth and Malcolm get to work. In the meantime, the entire settlement has been locked down, windows and doors sealed tight. Good thing, too, because the skies are soon thick with the screeching beasts. Elizabeth and Malcolm finally get the correct combination of chemicals, creating a vat of pheromones. Back at the Shannon house, meanwhile, a few of the creatures manage to get into the house through the vents. Naturally, one of the nasty little beasts goes after Zoe, the smallest target. But the creature is kicked by Josh, who locks his sisters into the sealed bedroom. They're safe for now. Jim and Taylor, meanwhile, strap the vat of pheromones to a car and speed away. The creatures seem to follow. "It worked," says Malcolm. Hours later, Jim has still yet to return, and Elizabeth is worried. Just as Malcolm is about to comfort Elizabeth, they hear a car. Jim and Taylor have returned to a hero's welcome. Elizabeth and Jim embrace. Taylor explains that things got a little exciting, explaining his multiple scratches and bruises. Later, Elizabeth and Jim return home to find their children sleeping. The parents smile, and Elizabeth invites her husband to bed. Finally, they get some alone time. And that was by Nick Chor.
Very good, very good, very good. Instinct, written by Brandon Braga and Renee Caveria. Jim Shannon had his shirt off second week in a row. So I was right. I think there's a trend. I think he's going to have his shirt off every single time.
I think I will continue watching.
I'm starting to like Allison Miller, her character Sky. I did not like her too much in the pilot, in the 2-hour movie, Genesis. I didn't like her too much in Genesis. But in Instinct, I'm starting to take a liking to her. I don't know what's different about her or her character, or is it something about me that's different, but didn't like her before, like her now.
I think we're going to start seeing characters differently as the episodes go on. I know there's a lot of characters that we haven't really gotten to know yet, but I do like the role she played in this week's episode. Something
I noticed, I'm obsessed with this wormhole and the parallel timelines and stuff like that. People seem to describe themselves as what pilgrimage they came in. Like, I'm second pilgrimage, I'm fifth pilgrimage, I'm 10th pilgrimage. So, to me, it's saying that the 2 timelines are future, but they're present, and 85 million years ago are ticking away in time together. Time is progressing at the same rate, even though the whole 118 days thing for Commander Taylor, when people come through the wormhole, the 6th pilgrimage doesn't come through before the 4th pilgrimage, and they seem to use it as a description of time, too. So, both time periods seem to be concurrent.
I think you're right. I mean, like the guy that Josh was trading with, he said he'd been at the 2nd pilgrimage for so long he didn't know what the music Josh was talking about, because he'd been in Terra Nova since the 2nd pilgrimage. So I guess, whatever Josh's music that he had come after he had left for the 2nd pilgrimage. So I guess that kind of shows the same thing, that time is still moving along. I mean, it's been, 7 years or whatever since the 2nd pilgrimage, right? 9 years altogether.
They also identified the form of currency. They have a currency in Terra Nova named Terras.
Makes sense. I mean, what else would they call them?
Yeah, I didn't think at this point they would have a currency. I would think it would just be a group of people working together, almost like communists for community, and everybody has a job assigned to them, and they do their job, and everybody is, provided with food and clothing and everything else.
Well, that's what I thought the last episode, because Jim said, why would there be thieves? Everything is provided for you. But I guess maybe food is provided, but luxury items like a guitar is not provided because somebody made that. And maybe the food, because Sky ordered those shish kebabs, those weird shish kebabs. Yeah, and it didn't look like she paid for them, but they could have just not shown it. So I don't know if maybe they get certain food for free, or, there's certain luxury items they have to pay for, but where are they getting the money from? Like, do they have to work for it?
I guess they're earning a wage working, because Sky had the 60 Terras to buy the guitar for Josh if Josh wanted, but Josh didn't have any money yet. I would think that, unless she's earning money on the side somehow. Okay, so another thing that I talked about last time was, is there two-way communication through the wormhole? Because I didn't think there could be, because it was a one-way wormhole. In this episode, we learned that Malcolm requested Elizabeth Shannon to come to Terra Nova. So for Commander Taylor to put in that request to Hope Plaza for her to be included on one of the future pilgrimages to join the science team, there has to be two-way communication.
You know, I didn't even think about that. When you just mentioned it, I was like, oh my gosh, but it's so weird because that thought didn't even occur to me while I was watching it. I didn't even think about how that even happened, which is weird because I usually think about that stuff.
Yeah, up until that point, I had not seen one clue that said that, yes, there was two-way communication. Not that important, but, just want to learn the rules of the universe that we're watching the show in, so when they break the rules, we can catch them. When Jim was confronting Malcolm about why he requested his wife to be on a pilgrimage, I noticed the color timing was really weird around Commander Taylor's base. It was just weird. It's like, I don't know if you know what color timing is, but they go in and they change the brightness and the colors of certain things to make it look better. And it just looked like they made it brighter around his hut.
Weird.
Yeah, I don't know if the monitors they used when they did it were darker than my TV is, so they wanted you to be able to see it. But my TV's brightness made it look like just artificial and awkward.
Another thing I didn't even notice.
Yeah.
I think that's, not a girl thing to notice, though.
No, I think it's a guy thing. Guys obsess about their picture quality and high definition and 1080p and 5.1, 7.1, 8.1, 25.1.
I just want to be able to watch it on my iPad.
I noticed that the bedrooms separated by curtains last episode were now sliding doors.
But
yes,
they did say when they moved in that it wasn't finished yet.
Oh, good observation. See, I didn't notice that.
Because remember they were painting it with their really cool paint gun thing that I wish I had?
Yeah, it wasn't like a spray painter. It was like a paint mister or something like that.
I don't know. It magically turned the walls yellow.
It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
My favorite part of Instinct was the Sky and Josh relationship, how it evolved when she took the initiative and kissed him on the cheek. I thought, wow, she's going after what she wants. That's pretty cool. I like girls like that. They go after what they want. I like that relationship starting, and as we saw in the preview for next week, it's developing more because there's a full-on kiss between them next week. Spoilers.
Spoilers.
Things can bring people together and make a relationship bond when they go through some kind of traumatic event or some exhilarating event like bungee jumping or roller coasters or something. They say if you like somebody, you want to take them on a date, so they end up liking you more, you do something exciting like that. So I think maybe running away from the flying reptiles might be something that they can bond with,
I think that they were attracted to each other at first because he wouldn't have just followed anybody outside the gates and into dinosaur territory. And they lived through that together too, which is another experience that is scary and adrenaline pumping.
So these two are definitely hooking up, I'm thinking. Yeah. I'm just going to throw this out there. I don't know if anybody else has put it out there, but just like Bradgelina, I'm going to say these two are Skosh.
That's new.
Sky and Josh put together.
I like it.
Yeah, I thought of that myself. At least I think I did. They've probably been calling them Skosh on the filming set for months now.
Hey, you never know.
They finished filming season 1, and they ordered 22 episodes for next season, and the ratings are pretty good, so I think it's going to happen. Last thing I wrote down in my notes is Washington? Mm-hmm. I just don't like her. She seems awkward or weird. I had a kind of a gut feeling that she was the one leaking the information to the Sixers, but then I thought, no, they're going to have the person leaking the information to the Sixers someone we like, so we're more shocked and upset about it. So now I'm thinking Sky.
I have 2 points on that.
Okay.
I think Washington has a crush on Nathaniel Taylor. Totally think that. Because did you see her rush over to him when he had cuts on him at the end of the episode? And he's like, I'm fine. It might be one of those just, that's her boss kind of thing, and they have that relationship, but I think that there's probably something more there. As far as Sky is concerned, I thought the exact same thing. Because I'm watching the episode, and I'm seeing her interact with Josh, and I'm like, you know what, I would be really pissed if she was the leak. And you know what? in the pilot episode, they were running away from the dinosaurs and they wanted to go in the Sixer vehicle, and she's like, "It's Sky, let me in." Now, I didn't think anything of it then, but I'm thinking back now and I'm like, man, that would really suck, because Josh would be heartbroken and feel betrayed, and everybody would feel betrayed because she's such a trustable character. You're like, wow, well, she's been around, you know, she's showing Josh all this new stuff and how to live at Terra Nova, and then she's going to be the one leaking the information to the Sixers. And then I was like, what if, like, her parents are part of the Sixers and they didn't actually, like, die or anything? I started thinking all this crazy stuff. But I definitely thought halfway through this episode, oh my gosh, Sky is probably the leak.
Because she's got Commander Taylor's ear. He's like a pseudo-parent for her, because she's on her own now. Mm-hmm. So he might confide in her things that he doesn't confide in other people. So she would be the perfect leak to give the Sixers information. And she did lie to Taylor about not going by the waterfall and things like that. It's very possible. And with Wash, I see what you're saying about them having a thing, maybe, or her liking Commander Taylor, because the two guys that were out that were coming in the next morning from sending the flying reptiles out, when they come back, the two women waiting for them are Elizabeth Shannon and Wash. So,
how do you feel about her being named Wash?
I don't know. She's not my favorite Wash. My favorite Wash was from Firefly.
But it might be another thing like Sky, how we might get to like her later.
Yeah.
I think that she has a lot of potential. You can see her kind of goofy side when she was eating the worms, and I think that she will have more character potential as we go on. Well, you totally stole my Sky being the leak thing. I was so excited to tell you that, and you already knew. So, I'm assuming their school is survival training, because that's kind of seemed like their class. That's most of school we've seen for them, which would make sense, survival training. But I wonder if they do like a home ec thing or a learn your job thing, or how they decide jobs. That I was kind of curious about as far as the school is concerned, which I'm sure nobody really cares about the school on Terra Nova, because nobody really cares about school.
Except Maddie Shannon, who wants to be in a college lab so she doesn't get eaten by dinosaurs. But so far she's been walking outside all the time.
That's because she wants to see her haughty little crush that she's got.
Reynolds, right?
Yes.
Okay. I don't think we've seen what their careers actually are. I think since they're assigned right now to clean out their latrines, it's like a punishment. That's a punishment job for them escaping and going OTG.
Yes, that is not their job. That is their current job because they messed up.
Right, so it'd be interesting to see what Sky and Josh are assigned.
Yes. How did she earn that money? She must have a job or something where she wouldn't be earning the Terras enough to buy Josh's guitar.
I wonder if Terras have Commander Taylor on them.
Maybe they just have Pangea.
Are they coins? Are they papers? Are they computer credits? They have computers.
They're holographic images.
They could replicate those easily, I think.
They just show up in the palm of your hand. Here's 6 Terras, and it floats from one.
It's probably more like a debit system, because I didn't see any actual money.
We shall see.
We shall see.
Okay, so correct me if I'm wrong, but when we were doing the webisodes, didn't they say that there was a cure for cancer?
Yes, they did, and I thought about that when I watched it, but I forgot to write it down, so I didn't steal it from you.
Because when he said, and maybe there's a cure for cancer out there, I was like, I swear they already cured cancer, because we talked about the overpopulation in the first podcast that I did with you.
Right, that was a good one. Critically acclaimed.
Oh, okay. The first podcast we did together, I remember talking about cure for cancer and how that probably contributed to overpopulation. So I think it's a little weird that he's talking about a cure for cancer. Now, people who haven't seen the webisodes, which I'm sure majority of the people watching the show haven't seen the webisodes, would have no idea. They wouldn't connect this, but I totally remember that. And when he said it today, I was like, wait a second, that's not right.
Yeah, so definitely the television show not communicating well with the people making the short web videos.
Yes.
Maybe that's why one said since dome technology and the other one said the cure for cancer. So maybe the text bulletin which said the cure for cancer, which was released the day before the news video of dome technology, maybe somebody said, wait a second, in the second episode we already said there's no cure for cancer. So they changed it to dome technology. But that was already out there, and once it's out there, it's out there. Another possibility I thought about was maybe the cure for cancer came along after he went on the 5th pilgrimage, so I don't know how far pilgrimages are apart, but you'd think they'd let him know about a cure for cancer.
I think if that was the case, Elizabeth Shannon would have corrected him.
Yeah, she would have said, what the Hezmata are you talking about?
But my thought was maybe they had something else, like a cure for something else in the script, and then when they were shooting, they said, it would be more powerful if you just had a cure for cancer.
Mm-hmm.
Because the whole point is that it's powerful. He says it to emphasize that they could do great work by researching what's in the jungle.
Oh yeah, maybe the cure for cancer's out there.
Yeah, it sounds a lot better than maybe the cure for chickenpox is out there. Oh. If anybody has an iPhone or an iPad, there is the coolest app for Terra Nova. The coolest app. It has the webisodes on it that are no longer on the website. Let me bring it up on my handy-dandy iPad. So the Terra Nova app loads with the Fox logo in the beginning, and then it opens right up to a countdown, which gives you the next episode launches in, currently it's 5 days, 18 hours, 58 minutes, and 49 seconds, and counting. And the next episode is called What Remains, so it has that on there. Next episode, and it has a picture, and it has a scroll bar with lots of pictures, and it has some tabs on the top that have Citizens of Terra Nova, the prequel, behind the scenes, and then on the bottom it has episodes and cast. And this is in the landscape view. If you want to turn it to the portrait view, you can enable the Facebook so you can see people's comments and see if there's any updates from the Terra Nova Facebook. They have a Twitter button on here, so you can go to the Terra Nova Twitter, and they have a map. But if you click on, say, Citizens of Terra Nova, it'll bring you up all the characters that we know and love. And if you click on the prequel, it'll bring you up the webisodes. Behind the scenes will give you videos of the set, video interviews with cast, producers, get a closer look at the transporters. So that's a pretty cool feature. And then you get episode synopsis for all 3 episodes. And you can click cast, and you can read little bios on all of the cast members, or 8 of the main cast members. So it's a pretty cool app, especially if you're like us and totally obsessed with Terra Nova during the 3rd episode.
How much is the app?
The app is free, which is the best part of the app.
Sold.
Yeah, so you can get it on the iTunes store if you just search for Terra Nova. It works on the iPhone, but not as well as it works on the iPad. So you can use it while you watch the show live, which is pretty cool. I have yet to do it. I didn't think about using it this week. So next week I will bring it out and let you guys know what I thought about it.
And according to what I'm reading here, it's also available for Android.
Yeah, I like the countdown. It gets me a little excited for the episodes.
What was your thought on the flying reptiles? They're not birds, because birds didn't exist yet, but they're flying reptiles. What was your thought on the look and feel of them?
I didn't want to go outside. If I were there, I wouldn't leave my house, which I guess didn't really prove very helpful when the birds got inside. I don't know how my defense would hold up.
I think the CG looked pretty good. They looked real. They looked like they were really there. The dead one that Malcolm was putting in his toolbox, that looked pretty good too. It didn't look too hokey.
It was like a heavy rubber or something that gave it weight. You could tell it was heavy.
It looked real enough to me, but not so real as for me to feel all that sad dead animal. Like, in old movies where they're carrying around dead gooses and stuff. And you're like, why do you got to show that?
Like in the old Christmas movies.
Yeah, exactly what I'm talking about. I think they look pretty good. The shadows of them from behind the glass walls, that was nice. When the one was going after Zoe, I was like, don't hurt Zoe, so they look pretty real to me.
That one was especially good. Yeah, they're really scary looking. But the fact that they're all black is creepy. But I guess that makes sense, because if you're up in a tree and it's dark enough that you can't see them.
And if they're nocturnal, that's good camouflage.
Yeah, they seem to hunt either day or night. Not that they were really hunting, they were protecting their breeding grounds, but...
Yeah, Johnny Jr. had communicated to us that he noticed that they weren't nocturnal or diurnal exclusively because they were both there at night and daytime. That was an observation that he sent me.
Maybe their pheromones were just going crazy at that time too. It's almost like somebody went on their home territory, so they were in attack mode.
You could see how they were walking on all fours, even though they were winged creatures.
Was it fours or?
Yeah, they were winged reptiles. You could see that they were actually walking on their legs and hands, kind of, with their wings in between, so that was pretty cool. That's like what TC was talking about. And she was talking about how there's a whole episode of Living with Dinosaurs all about that particular creature.
Oh, really? So it's a real creature. It's not just a made-up Malcolmosaurus.
I think it's the same type of creature.
Oh, okay.
You know. My last thing I wanted to talk about was, I don't know if I like the hour format. I still got used to the 2-hour format. It just it seemed like they had to squeeze a lot into 42 minutes, but it's hard to compare the 2-hour movie to an actual episode. It's going to take me a few episodes to get used to the format, almost like it was all set up and then like a quick ending. But then after the ending, there was an additional scene at the end, which made me feel a little bit better. More like Babylon 5 than Star Trek The Next Generation. Star Trek The Next Generation had 41 minutes of setup and 1 minute of resolution, whereas Babylon 5 had an additional scene at the end. I was glad to see that additional scene on the end of Terra Nova.
No, I was just trying to take all that in, because I don't watch TV like you do. I get so involved in the scene and in the family and in that when the episode's over, I'm like, oh, now I have to wait till next week. I don't look at it with a technical eye where it's like, oh, well, it was so much of this setup. But I don't know if that's gender. I don't know if that's just how our brains work. I don't know if that's unique to you or it's unique to me. But it's cool that you watch it like that, because I just get sucked in. I just want to keep watching more. I don't want to stop watching it.
Well, I think I'm saying the same thing in my own way, as in I just wanted more. So,
yeah.
Not more from the episode, I just wanted more of Terra Nova. So I guess that means they're doing their job, because if they leave me wanting more, then I'm going to come back next week.
They left us wanting more when we were watching the webisodes, though. I think we're diehard fans at this point.
We are. This is the first show I've become a fan of this quick. I think it has a lot to do with all the research we had to do for the podcast. But when you're watching the first episode and you see all the actors and producers and writers' names come up and you already know everything about everybody, you have a lot invested in the show. And I'm glad it's as good as it is. I'm really glad. I can't wait to see how far it can go.
Yeah, I felt when I watched the first episode that we had already known this family, that we had already seen glimpses of this family, and it was nice to see it come to life. As far as this week's episode, I thought the little backstory with Jim and Elizabeth trying to have their intimate time, it was kind of cute. They were, busy lives, dinosaurs chasing them. I mean, but, I guess it's just a big metaphor for life and having kids and such, but it was just funny, the one thing after another, and then his cheeky little smile at the end, like, okay.
Yeah, you can tell he totally wasn't thinking of that, because everything that just happened, and then when he figured out what she was trying to say, he was very happy.
Yeah.
Another thing, Commander Taylor at the end, when he was talking about the noises that the Malcolmus whateveris were making as they were mating, and he did a little hand gesture that they didn't quite show on television, but you could tell he was doing it. I thought that showed a little bit more about his character, that he's not like stuck up or like...
He's not all commander.
Right, he's actually a person too. So for that little bit of character development this early on in the show, I was pleased to see that. I'm like, well, he's not such a bad guy.
Yeah, well, I think we still have Avatar in our heads, and we hoping he'll save himself.
I'm sure at one point we'll be watching Avatar in the future and go, wow, the guy from Terra Nova.
Yeah, right.
We just got to get there. I'm looking forward to more on Skosh.
What are we going to call Maddie and Reynolds when they're a couple?
Ratty?
Maynolds. Ratty.
Well, I don't really want to do that, because I'm hoping they're going to save Maddie for me.
never are you going to get a 16-year-old.
She's not 16. The character's 16.
That's who you're talking about, Maddie.
Yeah. I happen to know she was born May 6, 1993, and that she's 18 years old, so she's a pretty girl.
And how old are you?
This is Joey State, future ruler of this miserable planet. And you are listening to the Terra Nova Podcast with my favorite four nerds, Al, Heather, TC, and Jordan. Listen now, and maybe I'll spare your lives when I take over. Maybe. Or maybe not. But I would listen if I were you.
And now let's go to the science segment with TC.
The following dinosaur was heard but not seen in the pilot episode while those from the 10th pilgrimage were making their way through the jungle to the compound. This large carnivore had apparently tripped a sonic mine. Its name, Allosaurus. Allosaurus. Allo, meaning different, and saur, or saurus, again meaning lizard, was named so because its vertebrae are unusually lighter than those of other dinosaurs. This is why Allosaurus means different lizard. Since its fossil remains were abundant, paleontologists have an excellent understanding of the dinosaur first found by Othniel Marsh in 1887. Not unlike most dinosaurs, the Allosaurus is believed to have had many variations comprised of at least 7 different species. Wow! It is classified as a theropod, which should tell us it's a carnivore that probably feasted on herbivores. Its behavioral pattern when hunting was learned when paleontologists studied sauropods. These studies showed how vicious the Allosaurus was because there was evidence that it tore off the flesh of living sauropods, deferring the kill of its prey for some time.
Ew!
An unusual pattern in hunting is that it is believed they hunted in groups unless hunting small prey. It's unusual because it has been observed that most vertebrates don't usually hunt in groups. Another interesting behavior scientists believe is that the Allosaurus used its large tail to help trap their prey. This is considered a vital behavioral pattern among the theropods. Another unusual pattern of this carnivore was that they were extremely protective of its young. They often fed their young until they were fully grown and capable of looking after themselves. This theropod lived during the late Jurassic period about 14 million years ago. It weighed up to 4.5 tons, about 40 feet or 12 meters long, and at the hips, its height reached up to 10 feet or 3 meters. They were believed to live for about 25 years and possibly a little more. By the time it reached the age of 15, it is then considered that it had reached adult size. Some interesting facts. Allosaurus was a top predator with a huge head, sharp serrated teeth, short arms, and 3-fingered hands. They had rows of teeth since they constantly shed and replaced their teeth. And I would assume that you can compare the Allosaurus with a shark. When a shark gets into a fight or is tearing off a piece of meat from a meal, it could lose a tooth. And that's why sharks have rows of teeth. One replaces the other. And I would guess that the Allosaurus did the same thing. The most famously known allosaur fossil was found only in 1991. researchers discovered a superbly preserved, near-complete fossil. In being a rare find, the researchers decided to name this discovery Big Al. Through observation, it is likely that Big Al did not live a very happy life. Numerous fractures and bacterial infections were revealed while the bones were analyzed. Because of this formation, it is thought that Big Al died an early death. He'd only grown to 26 feet long and was considered a teenage dinosaur at the time of his passing.
Aww.
Under the section of science in the Terra Nova Podcast website, I've included some pictures of Allosaurus, a diagram that shows the characteristics of an Allosaurus, a coloring page, as well as a comparison of Allosaurus' size in relation to humans. In the pilot episode of Terra Nova, we watched a giant centipede crawl across Jim Shannon's hand while weeding. Some of you already know my fear of bugs and certain insects. I did this next segment out of pure love for all of you and for Terra Nova. During my research for the prehistoric centipede, I was not only squirming and saying words I can't really mention other than, "Oh my God!" This is pretty much how it went in my house with hubby sitting next to me. "Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God!" Hubby's response, "If you stop looking at those pictures, you'll stop saying, 'Oh my God.'" But you see, I couldn't stop looking. That's what I do. I'm researching. So I'm reading and doing more research, and I come across another picture. And this is what I say. "Oh my God, it's bigger than we thought!" Hubby's response, "Honey, stop. You're scaring yourself." And then I see videos. Horrific videos.
"There's no way to kill it! We can't stop it!"
"Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God!" Hubby's response, "Honey, come on now. Please stop. Now you're scaring the cats." Okay, so I continue to do research, and I came across something I hope I never have to come across again. Whatever you do, do not look for the trailer, The Human Centipede 2012. It's a movie, and it is so unbelievably disgusting. It made my jaw drop in disbelief. What sick, twisted person would even think up of something so disgusting, so grotesque?
That's disgusting, but I love it.
Actually, I don't love it, but it was just so gross. You know those times when something is just so gross you have to watch it? That's what it was like. But I hope I don't ever have to see that again. Now, I'm probably leading you towards that, but honestly, don't. Just trust me, don't. All right, so here we go. The centipede. Centipede means 100 legs. Centi means 100. Pede, or pedi, or ped, means legs. So one would think a centipede has 100 legs, correct? Actually, not all centipedes have 100 legs. Some could have up to approximately 200 legs. Did you know that they're carnivores? They move swiftly and use venom to kill their prey, such as insects, spiders, larvae, etc. The centipede is included in the arthropod group, which includes those bugs having jointed legs and an exoskeleton. Exo means outer, so the skeleton is on the outside instead of the inside of its body. Centipedes can be found all over the world, mostly in dark and damp places. Damp places like my family room downstairs. The dehumidifiers can only do so much, you know. Why were dinosaurs so large in prehistoric times? There are many theories for why the prehistoric ages had such large animals. One main theory describes the climate change of the Earth at the time for the reason why the prehistoric ages had such large animals. Since the climate was much warmer at that time, It was more conducive to biodiversity. Bio meaning life and diversity means different. Plants were abundant at that time, creating more oxygen and more ecosystems in which creatures could survive. Some like to think that because of the rise in oxygen, that this helped the animals to grow larger. Also, the combination of carbon dioxide, which plants recycle as food, and the high temperatures meant that the prehistoric world was covered with all kinds of vegetation. Many sauropods grew to be such an enormous size due to the combination of this abundance of vegetation, plus, having lived an extended period of time, they had more time to grow. And since the sauropods grew larger, the theropods needed to grow larger in order to be able to take down and eat their prey. Another theory, creatures develop the way they do based on natural selection, where only the strong will survive. The best one to survive in its environment will be the one to go on to mate and pass on the best of its traits. All creatures develop they do based on natural selection. Being large had an evolutionary advantage. The bigger an animal is, the stronger it is, in general. And with the abundance of life supporting it, competing predators kept evolving larger and larger to be better able to compete. Don't forget that not all dinosaurs were particularly large. It seems as if most people remember those that were the largest. As far as large predators today, well, they seem to have run out of evolutionary space to grow in their ecosystems. Today, the smaller, faster, more efficient predators rule, and now they rely on either strength, speed, intelligence, or pack behavior in order to make up for their smaller size. There are large animals alive today, just a few are predators. Yet another theory has to do with the size of the dinosaurs being a byproduct of cold-bloodedness. Many paleontologists believe the herbivores were cold-blooded and needed to grow large in size in order to achieve homeothermy. That is the ability to maintain its interior temperature despite the current environmental conditions. So, during the day, a sauropod would warm up, and during the night, since it's so large, it would slowly cool down. And by doing so, would give the animal a fairly constant body temperature. Metabolism plays a part in this as well. But this is where the problem arises with this theory. Evolutionary biologists would be more convincing if all dinosaurs had uniform metabolisms, which they don't. I do hope that you will view the video I have posted on the website. It's from the Discovery Channel, and it gives an excellent description as to why these animals became so large. After viewing, please let us know your thoughts via phone, email, forum, Twitter, whatever's best for you. Thanks.
Feedback.
Now it's time for our feedback.
And here's an email from James Coates. I hope I said that right. Hey guys, firstly, thanks for the great show. You guys cover it really well. Anyway, just wanted to let you know what I'm thinking about where they are. I think they're 85 million years in the future. It would explain why the 2149 people didn't get the pod they sent through the gate, and it looks like Commander Taylor's son is drawing star charts, which would easily determine what period of time they're in. On the rocks. Maybe he figured it out. Oh well, can't wait to see the next episode and hear what you guys think. Keep it coming. James from Melbourne.
Melbourne. That's cool. Australia.
Wow.
We're global. Everybody's listening around the world.
Melbourne. Maybe it's Melbourne, Florida.
Let's say Australia.
Let's hope Australia.
More exciting. Thank you for that feedback.
Yes, thanks, James.
Yeah, they could be in the future. I mean, is the moon going to just keep going further and further away and we're going to lose it? Or maybe it starts to come back. Like a yo-yo. I don't know. We got a email from Johanna Jensen. Hopefully I'm saying that right. Terra Nova was amazing, like a mix between Avatar and Jurassic Park. I wonder if the Sixers destroyed the ball so they couldn't find it in the future. Johanna. Again, about the probe and about the beacon, maybe the Sixers destroyed it. That's a good point. Something definitely could have happened to it. So I think everybody is agreeing that not finding the probe doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, it only means that they didn't get it in the future.
Yeah.
So it's probably not a direct line. That's saying that nobody destroyed it, that it's not buried under something too deep to read, you know.
Mm-hmm. Or did they get it and not talk about it?
See, so it doesn't prove anything. Lori Gongola tweeted, Terra Nova Cast, really enjoying the podcast so far. Please keep up the good work.
Thank you very much.
Yes, thanks, Lori.
Don't forget to join us on Twitter at Terra Nova Cast and keep up with all the Terra Nova Podcast news and events that are going on. We got another tweet. It's from RunDMCG. The show debuted in Australia last night. Pretty good start. Enjoyed your podcast too. So, that's pretty cool. Australia. That one's definitely from Australia.
Yeah, that's cool to have Australian listeners, considering that's where the show is taking place. I'm sure they're very excited there to have a show being filmed there. That's a big hit.
That's cool. Well, thank you for listening to us in Australia. And if you can't call our voicemail because it's long distance, record an MP3 and send it to us. We'd like to hear more from Australia. Someplace we'd like to go in the future. Hint, hint, Fox. Send us there. We could do some interviews.
Plus, Australia is just a really cool looking place.
Yeah.
I would love to go there.
The Australian Zoo, the Opera House. I wonder if they actually sing opera at the Opera House. We could climb over the bridge like the Olsen twins did in that Australian movie.
I want to go to P. Sherman 42 Wallaby Wave, Sydney.
Really? I'm not getting the reference. What is it?
Really? Finding Nemo. P.
Oh.
Sherman 42 Wallaby Way, Sydney.
I must have what Dory had, and I just can't remember. That was in Australia, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That's the one other country I'd love to live in. They have great TV over there. Anytime I get a chance to catch some Australian TV, I like it.
A friend of mine on Facebook was pretty excited about Terra Nova last week, too. When I asked her what she thought about this week's episode, she said, honestly, I'm in between. I thought it was really good, but I wanted more. It felt like a filler episode, kind of. Like an episode strung somewhere in the mid-ish season. Next week looks fantastic, though.
Yeah, so kind of what I was saying.
Yeah.
But it might be like just a part 2 syndrome. You're excited for the first, say, movie, and then you see part 2 and it doesn't live up to your expectations.
I wonder what our friend from Chicago thought. I know he wasn't really impressed with the first episode, so I wonder what he would think of this episode.
Yeah, let us know what you think.
Hey, Albert.
Yeah.
We got another 5-star review, man, by Science and Sci-Fi Family on iTunes.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, man, let me read that to you. It states, I'm a big fan of Jason Amar and LOM. Now I'm a big fan of Terra Nova and found a podcast that encompasses many areas of interest. I love the variety of segments like the show discussion, the sci-fi part. Heather and Albie make a great team. I also love that there's a science section that is informative and contains activities and coloring pages for my children. They are now starting to actually like science. Since this is a family show, the podcast seems to have taken that into consideration. I think the more shows they do, the better they'll get. It's also nice to get some background on the cast members. This is going to be a podcast that will be listened to on a regular basis and one of my faves. Thanks, guys and gals. That's awesome. Thank you so much, my Science and Sci-Fi Family. 5 stars on iTunes. Glad to read that out loud on the air. If you want to post a review on iTunes, and if it's 5 stars, we're going to read it.
I would think that TC liked this one better because she loves the dinosaurs. Speaking of TC, we're going to go to an actor profile on Allison Miller.
This week's actor profile is on Allison Miller, who plays Sky, the hardened Terra Nova settler who befriends Josh Shannon. Did you know that Allison Miller was born in Rome, Italy? Margot Miller, her mom, gave birth to Allison on September 2nd, 1985, which would make her 26 years young. Since her father, John W. Miller's job as a newspaper editor growing up, Allison spent parts of her childhood having to move several times. She's lived in Lexington, Kentucky, State College, Pennsylvania, which is where Penn State is, and Tallahassee, Florida, where she joined the Young Actors Theater. This was the beginning of a promising American actress. It is here that she appeared as Nora in the play Brighton Beach Memoirs for the theater. Allison graduated from the McClay School in Tallahassee, continuing her education at the University of Florida in Gainesville. She was there only for a few semesters before transferring to Rhodes College in Memphis, Tennessee, and it is there that she became a sorority sister of Kappa Delta. In 2004, Miller was one of the 8 actresses chosen as a finalist to play Laurie in VH1's reality show In Search of the New Partridge Family, where she played herself, since, well, it was a reality show. Because Miss Miller wanted to pursue acting full-time, she moved to Hollywood in 2006. Did you know that Allison not only acts, but is capable of many other talents as well? Her talents also include dancing. She's trained in modern dance as well as tap and jazz. She's also trained in voice and is a mezzo-soprano. That's not all either. She can play the piano and guitar and is proficient in both Spanish and French. Wow, no wonder it hadn't taken her long before she was working professionally. Can you imagine reading her resume? I'll make a side note here and guess that's why we don't see her in the tabloids. She seems like she never stops learning or working. Good for her. Now that is extremely commendable. Moving on to the year 2006, Allison scored a television role in Lucy's Piano, starring as Lucy, and guest starred in episodes of General Hospital as the teen Tracy. She was also in Cold Case, CSI New York, Desperate Housewives, and she played Candace Bergen's granddaughter in Boston Legal for several episodes from 2007 to 2008. She also appeared as the shoe salesgirl in the 2007 movie Take, which starred Minnie Driver. From there we jump to 2009, where she played Scarlett as a teen in the movie 17 Again. That movie starred Zac Efron. Allison is probably best known for her role in Blood, The Last Vampire, where she plays Alice McKee, and is her first starring role. Another role she is recognized for is Michelle Benjamin in the TV series Kings. We are fortunate enough to currently see Ms. Miller playing Skye in the new sci-fi drama Terra Nova. When I hear people commenting on her beauty, I don't hear many people denying that. I truly enjoyed researching Allison Miller. I had no idea how much she's already accomplished at the young age of 26. I could see Miss Miller having many successful years acting, and I sure hope she does. Thank you to those who suggested Allison as my next actor profile. I'll have a couple of her pictures posted under my section, Science with TC, under TC's profiles. Make sure to see them at terranovapodcast.com.
Hej, jeg heter Johanna, og jeg hører på dere I Norge.
Really cool. They're listening to us in Norway.
That's another place I think I would visit.
Norway?
Norway. I know they have, don't they have a thing at Disney?
All I know about Norway is what I learned from Epcot Center, and it seems pretty cool. I like the Norway ride. It's like Vikings, and you just go around and you're like, look, it's Norway, and it's cruise ships and oil tankers and stuff.
They have that cool Kim Possible thing there.
Yeah, but that's all I know of Norway is Norse and Vikings and cruise ships. But it seems pretty cool.
Yes, Viking. They have lots of Viking boat rides in Norway.
Yeah, it's a great boat ride. If you're really hot, they have it located right in the middle of all the countries. So halfway through your journey, you take a nice, cool boat ride to cool off, and then you keep going around.
Yeah, it's kind of like It's a Small World. It's not very exciting, but...
But it's cold and air-conditioned.
Yes.
So much appreciated. So hopefully Norway is cold and air-conditioned outside, probably.
Final call has commenced. Please proceed immediately to the departure platform.
It's time for the line of the episode.
TC, what was your favorite line of the episode?
I'll play it now.
Could I ask you something?
Yeah, go ahead.
How do you know if a boy likes you?
You can't. He doesn't. What boy? You're only 16.
Never mind. Do you want me to start on dinner? Yeah?
Yes.
Okay.
Welcome back to the family, Dad.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty cool to see Jim be a parent again after 2 years.
Yeah, and I liked Josh's comment, "Welcome back to the family, Dad." His overprotective father turned right back on.
My line of the episode was this.
So what's this? Some kind of wine?
It's 85 million BC. It's a very good year.
Yeah, that was a funny line. I thought it made me laugh out loud, so I knew right then that was my line of the week.
This is my line of the episode.
Soldier, you're out.
What happened to Jenkins?
We'll mix up the duty roster. You mind if I double check the windows?
Be my guest.
Hi.
That's how you know a boy likes you.
You know what I actually enjoyed? Might not be the most favorite, but I like at the end where he tries to name the birds after himself.
And then, 9 years from now, Malcolmus Terrasauria will migrate to its new spawning ground. What? Every new species needs a name, and I did help discover them. I mean...
Well, it's been a hell of a night, huh? I'm gonna get some shut-eye.
Oh, sweet dreams. Malcolmus.
Those were the lines of the episode. If you have any favorite lines of an episode, email us. Leave us a voicemail. Let us know which line it was, which part of the show it was, and we will play it. What's your favorite part?
Bonjour, je m'appelle Joanna, et je vous écoute en France.
Thank you, France. They're listening to us in France, too.
Bonjour, France. That's so cool. France, that's awesome. It's another country that I've never been to that would be so cool to go to.
I'd like to go to France. I like French movies a lot. I watch all the movies with Audrey Tautou in it. You might know her from The Da Vinci Code, but she's a French-speaking actress, and I saw Amélie and loved the movie, and after that I had to see all of her movies. So by the end of seeing all of her movies, I pretty much understood French. I can't speak it, but I can understand it.
See, you recommended that movie to me, and I did watch it, but I was so distracted by the subtitles that I would just read the words and not watch everything else that was going on. And that was really distracting for me, so I think that I don't do well with subtitles.
I say just watch the French movies without subtitles. It's all based in Latin, so you'll understand half of what's going on anyway.
I did have a French teacher who used to talk in French and act it out. And then that's how we learned French, she was the coolest French teacher ever, because we didn't learn from a textbook. So I guess it's kind of the same thing. But I'm like that even if it's in English. If there's subtitles, I just pay attention to the words and I don't watch the movie.
Even if it's in English?
I mean, like, even if the movie is in English.
Why would you be reading the subtitles if the movie's in English?
Because I used to know somebody who watched the movies with the subtitles on. And just because the words come up at the bottom, it's that distracting that I just read the subtitles. I don't know why.
It's like CNN syndrome. Whatever's on the bottom of the screen scrolling across is more important than anything else in the world.
Exactly. Like Madonna's left foot. Ellen, never mind.
That's funny.
Yeah, it is. Now it's time for a question of the week.
Our question of the week last week was, would you go outside the gates and why? Would you go OTG? Why or why not? It was a forum response. Don't forget we have forums. It was from Meat Cookie.
Outside the gates. This question is focusing on Josh's decision to go OTG on his first day. That's got to be some kind of record. Would I go OTG as a 17-year-old boy who just met a really good-looking potential girlfriend and the chemistry already seems pretty good? Yeah, I'll blame it on peer pressure. That, and you have a transport vehicle along with 4 other people your age going who do not think it's a big deal. Add to that not knowing about the Sixers, you wouldn't think your power cells would go missing. Would I go OTG thinking as a 30-plus-year-old guy with a wife and child? Hell no. Maybe at some point, but on my first day? Nah. There's plenty to see inside the gates during my first few days. Thanks, Meat Cookie.
So, that was a forum response. Post in our forums. There's a link to our forums on our page. Question of the week this week is, who do you think the leak is to the Sixers, and why?
Let's see how many people agree with us in our sky theory, or if you have some unique theories of your own.
Yeah, maybe Sky is the red herring, and we're supposed to think it's her, because we both thought it was her.
Well, then we'll probably get some answers back that say Sky 2. So we'll see.
Which it could be. I had a crazy weird thought for half a second. What if Taylor is the leak to the Sixers? That would be crazy.
What would be the point, though?
Oh, yeah. Okay, so question of the week for this week is, who do you think the leak to the Sixers is and why? So let us know by calling our voicemail at 707-847-NOVA or 707-847-6682 or emailing us at terranovapodcast@gmail.com or posting in our forums or commenting on our website.
Any way you can find to talk to us, we would appreciate.
Yes. Facebook, Twitter. Our poll for this week, do you want to see more of 2149? The results are 50% yes, I want to see more of the future. 20% no, keep the show in the past. 20% the past is the future. So, it looks like the winner is, yes, I want to see more of the future, so hopefully we will see more of the future. And I think the producers kind of mentioned that they will be going back from time to time. Did you notice Instinct had a theme song now for the show? There's a theme song.
And there's a little opening with the family, which was pretty neat. I like that. They didn't have that in the pilot.
It was short, but what do you think of it?
I like it. A lot of the openings now are short. They don't really have time to do a whole song thing, because I fast forward through those anyway.
Yeah, well, I think everybody did, because once you see the opening of a TV show enough, like, I love Star Trek, but how many times can you watch the opening of The Next Generation without fast-forwarding through it, or Deep Space Nine or Voyager? They're great, but 7 seasons, by the time the second season rolls around, you're fast-forwarding through the openings. So the newer shows, like, I think one of the first ones was Lost, where it was just like, Lost. And that was the opening. And some of them don't even have that anymore. They just have the logo. But it makes sense because they can get more story time in. And, you know, they're not wasting 4 minutes or 3 minutes on a song or something. But I think it was nice. It was about 30 seconds. We'll play it for you now. So that was the theme song. It's short and sweet, but it's functional. I don't dislike it. It might be my new ringtone.
A show that I love, that I always fast forward the beginning, True Blood. The beginning is so gross.
Yeah, I can't watch the beginning. I turn away.
Well, I always fast forward, and that's what I was saying. Like, I always fast forward to the beginnings of shows. Parenthood has another long intro that I kind of fast forward through. Because especially if you're watching them in a row, you know, if you're catching up on them and they're all on your DVR and you're watching them in a row, you're like, okay, this is the 6th time I've seen the opening, and
I guess if you're watching them live, it gives you an opportunity to run to the restroom and be back before the commercials start. But if you're watching them on Netflix, DVD, Blu-ray, DVR, you're just going to fast forward through them. So I like the opening.
I definitely like the little opening. I was like, oh wow, they have an opening. I like that with the family walking and it was pretty cool.
We're going to get out of here now, and on our way out, we're going to play a preview for next week's episode of Terra Nova, What Remains. Hope you enjoy it. It looks like a good one. So watch Terra Nova, and then listen to the Terra Nova Podcast. And in all your free time, go to terranovapodcast.com. So this has been Albie.
And this is Heather. Thanks, guys.
Next Monday,
you promised Kara you'd try to get her here. I know a guy who could help you.
They went millions of years into the past to save our future. Now, a virus that destroys your memory.
What are the chances we've been exposed?
Is spreading.
Why doesn't she recognize me?
She seems to have lost all memory.
Do we know each other?
Will the future of the colony...
He's been infected!
What is this place? Be history.
Can you cure this thing?
All new Terra Nova.
Thank you for joining us for this installment of the Terra Nova Podcast. Go to terranovapodcast.com each week to listen to new installments of the Terra Nova Podcast. The Terra Nova Podcast is not affiliated with 20th Century Fox Television, Churnin Entertainment, DreamWorks Television, and Capitol Entertainment. While at terranovapodcast.com, be sure to join our forums where you can discuss Terra Nova with other listeners. You can also follow the Terra Nova Podcast on Facebook and Twitter, where we post announcements about our show and all things Terra Nova. Links to our social media pages are at terranovapodcast.com. Support from listeners like you help keep the Terra Nova Podcast operating. You can find a link to donate using PayPal at the bottom of our website. You can also show your love of the Terra Nova Podcast by shopping in our store, where you can buy t-shirts, coffee mugs, mouse pads, and much more. The link is available on our homepage. The Terra Nova Podcast is edited by Albie. The Terra Nova universe and all that it contains is property of 20th Century Fox Television, Churnin Entertainment, DreamWorks Television, and Capitol Entertainment. No infringement is intended. The Terra Nova Podcast is a Barron Space production, all rights reserved.
I'm doing that over.
All right. All right.
One more time.
Why can't I say settlers? Settlers. Blech. But it might be one of those. La la la. So I can't talk.
5.
2. 3. 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Feedback. Listening in Norway. I think I'm starting to get delirious. .com